Mamacita, ¿dónde está Santa Claus? The vato with the bony knees, walking down the street with no shoes on his feet. No, it's Christmas in July here at the Common Rule Podcast. How you been? Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your humble narrator. My name is Danny. And today, as I record this, it is, as a matter of fact, 9 p.m. on July 4th, the year of our Lord 2020. Yes, it's Independence Day here in America. And, there's, again, it's been a while. How long has it been since my last podcast? I apologize here. Again, I'm flying solo. And like I stated in one of my other podcasts, I think I'm going to actually need to retract the fact that all my interviews are going to need to be live and in person, because I have no idea when the fuck this lockdown is going to go down. Again, to reiterate here, we are on lockdown. We don't have a curfew on Phoenix, as far as I know. I don't think there's a curfew here, but there is a second wave of closing shit down. Again, coupled with a few other states. Arizona is one of the ones spiking with the Ronas. The numbers tell us that we opened too soon. So basically, our strip clubs are closed again. At least I think they are. I know that bars and a bunch of other non-essential party places are closed again. But hey, it's something else out there. Although I don't know for sure. I think 4th of July was canceled. I don't know. I think it was canceled on so many levels this year, right? The way shit is going. I don't think there's a fireworks display anywhere, since we really can't go out and mingle and stuff. I don't know if you can hear in the background. I think there are fireworks going off. They don't sound professional. They sound, in my neighborhood, they sound kind of close. And I am 75% sure they're fireworks. I don't know. They could be gunshots. I don't know. But my neighbors are out there setting them off. And there wasn't any fireworks announcements that I know of. Hey, there's going to be fireworks at the park or this, that, and the other. Normally they have them right down the street. In other places where I used to live, you can pretty much get on the roof and see like 2 or 3 spots that had fireworks. But you know what? Hey, you can't go out. You can't do things. I read some interesting thing, though, that was kind of funny. It said that, are we, even with all this, they're running out of fireworks? I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Anyway, it's, 2020 is definitely a fucking surreal year. Well, I don't know. Maybe you guys or it's not so bad for you guys, but from the looks of things, for the most of us here, we are on lockdown. Today was the first day I went out to pick up groceries in the last 3 days. And before that, I didn't go out for another 2 days. So yeah, it's, I don't go out of my house. And there's a couple, obviously, not to fucking harp on the shit. You guys want to know why? You can go back in past episodes and figure out why, but I'm not really that mobile as I should be. I went to the doctor a few days ago, and we are almost there as far as being 100% healed on the foot, but we're still fucking working on it. And it's just like you're almost there, and then I can start running or something. But my job, I don't have to ever go into the office to do my job. Maybe for a meeting or something like that. But I'm lucky to where I don't need to go in there and do my work, and I can still produce just as much. In my case, even more. I can podcast and do my day job all in my underwear and flip-flops. So, yeah, my buddy Luis asked me what the hell I was doing the other day in case I was busy. I said, nothing, man. I'm just sitting around in my underwear and flip-flops fucking watching TV at that point, But, which is, and getting fat. Man, I am getting fat. They weighed me. Every time I go in the doctor's office, they weighed me. And it's been almost next August, the beginning of August will be a year since my whole ordeal happened with my foot and all that shit. So since August, in August I weighed 215 pounds. They weighed me a few days ago at the doctor's office, and I am at 237 pounds. Yes. So as soon as I'm able to do stuff, I got to get off of the get off of the couch, the proverbial couch, if you will, and need to start moving around and doing something. But you know what? It's all right. It's all right. I'm not sitting here fucking gonna bitch about certain things when shit. There's a bunch of crazy stuff happening in the world there, But there's a reason I opened up with the Cheech and Chong skit there in Christmas. I don't know. Random trivia fact: you know that song, a Christmas song that is made famous more or less by Nat King Cole. That song was written by Mel Torme and some other cat. I'm sorry, other cat, I don't remember your name, and I'm just too busy to Google it right now. But that song was written in the summertime, July or August, because those guys were fucking hot and they wanted to do something to cool themselves off. So they started thinking about things that happened in the winter, and they ended up writing the Christmas song of, chestnuts roasting on an open fire and Jack Frost nipping at your nose sort of thing, to cool themselves off a little bit in this particular summer that they wrote it in. So they were thinking about Christmas in July, and I too was thinking about Christmas in July. Well, the weather here in Phoenix isn't crazy, and it's probably not crazy because I haven't been outside. I think this was another one of these weird summers that started off late, where usually in the beginning of May, the heat is already crazy. But a couple Mays ago, it wasn't hot at all through the entire month of May, and then it just started heating up somewhere in June. And this year was the same way, and I actually find that very peculiar, to say the least. But this year, it's the same way. It feels like the same way. Now, it does that because I don't go outside. I'm in here all the time. I'm indoors, so I don't feel the heat as much as I should. And when I go outside, it's only to my car, and then I just blast the AC and then go wherever it is I need to go. So I'm actually not, like I said, I'm not feeling the heat. The little notification pop-up just came up and said that it's supposed to be 112 tomorrow. Good, I guess. I don't know. But what do I care? I'm going to be indoors again. So, whatever. Anyway, it's back to Cheech and Chong here. So there's this skit that I love playing a lot, and I guess I love playing it even when it's not Christmas. It's the Cheech and Chong, basically a Christmas story by Cheech and Chong. And you guys need to listen to it. It's amazing. It's awesome. But basically, it comes to where Cheech is telling Chong the story of Santa Claus. Chong doesn't know who Santa Claus is, so he explains to him what he does and how he does it. And it's this basically the story's all wrong, but the spirit of Santa Claus is there. He just kind of Cheech and Chong's the story. Basically, what it is, it involves sex, drugs, rock and roll, sort of thing. It's pretty fucking funny. But they talk, the funny thing is though, that one of the key lines that really gets to me in that story is that the story isn't without substance and without sort of spiritual meaning, as of course, Christmas is supposed to be full of, time of giving, time of peace, time of love, that sort of jazz. And what at the end of the skit, Tommy asks Cheech, hey, so where is this guy now? Because, what'd he do? What happened to him? And Cheech explains, he had to go underground, man. They stopped him at the border. They started frisking him, but, he goes underground. And, Tommy laments and goes, oh, man, that sucks, dude, because we can sure use a cat like that now. And, man, so, dude, seriously though, right? We can sure use a cat like that now. There's the way things are in the world. It's just, man, well, fuck the world. I mean, I'm an American. I don't care shit what happens in the other places, but the shit that's going on in America. Wow. I mean, what's going on? And that frame of thought just kind of snowballed into this cat named Robert Frank. Now, in case you guys didn't know, Robert Frank is a photographer that a great photographer. He just wasn't any photographer. He was a great photographer, documentary photographer. I guess if you had to, I hate pigeonholing artists like that, because Robert Frank was so much more than, documentary photographer, this, that. It's just, he's an artist, that's what, let's just leave it at that. And he made this book back in the 50s, 57, 56, I'll look it up. But he made this book, and it's called The Americans. And Robert Frank was an American. He's a foreigner. He's from Europe. I think he's from I don't know, somewhere. I want to say Germany or Switzerland. I'm not sure. I think he's or one of the two. I guess I'll look that up too here in a second. But he made this book, and what he did and I'm sure it was a lot more complicated than this, but essentially what he did was he took a road trip, more than one road trip, but he photographed America in the early 50s. And he took some of the most amazing photographs. And it is a book that, yes, if you're a photographer or into photography at all, you need to own this book. There's a handful of books everyone needs to have. There's a handful of books you need to have if you want to be a photographer. And if you just appreciate art and for art's sakes, The Americans is definitely a book that you need to own. Buy it used, man. Seriously, it's already an old book. Buy it used from Amazon. You don't have to buy it new. But it's a book that one needs to have. And it is just a gorgeous portrait of America and its beauty and its ugliness, all, in my opinion, all at once. And it is really a portrait of America at that time. And it's very insightful. And it's just not, and what we need to do is when we look at things like that, when we look at artists, it's not just a collection of photographs, and that's never the intent, for more or less, I guess, to collect, to make a book, or to make some sort of documentary, or to make some sort of, I don't know, log, if you will, of any collection of work. It is it's more than that. It's supposed to tell a story that, a lot of artists, I mean, the thing that comes to mind too is doesn't just happen in photography where photographers make a book and then that's it. Like Picasso goes through his cubism. Picasso goes through his blue period. He goes through his pink period. And a lot of other people, go through a bunch of different phases in as artists, and you go in and out of things. And so while Robert Frank went on to take a bunch of other great photographs as well, and there's a bunch of other photographers, and, obviously I'm speaking of photography because that's my jam, right? But he is most known for this book and best known for this book. And again, it's even if you just go online and start looking at some of the pictures, the Americans, and it's just black and white photography, mostly black and white. I don't remember there being any color photographs in there. But that is coupled very well with photographs from Gordon Parks and Bruce Davidson. In my opinion, all those guys go together very well as far as American portraiture. For whatever reason, that's just the way that my brain works. And if you needed to look at photographs of those three cats, you need to check out. And I mean, they all kind of flow together very well, in my opinion. So it got to thinking, obviously my brain is working as, fucking thinking stupid shit. And I'm like, man, we can sure use a cat like Robert Frank now, to where somebody's taking a road trip across this country during these times and being able to photograph anything from the white supremacist movement to the Black Lives Matter movement to the transgender LGBTQ movement. I apologize. I don't know the whole gay, lesbian, trans alphabet just yet, and I'm not trying to make fun of it. I just don't know what to call that whole movement of, I don't know, alternative sex movement, I guess. I don't know. And the Republican movement, the Democratic movement, and like I said, we can use a guy or girl like that now. There was a guy, and it got me to thinking about this. My buddy Micah, him and his band at the time, the Paper Planes, they're from Long Beach. They had a show that they were so kind enough to allow me to go with them to this place called Pappy and Harriet's. It's a place out in the high desert in California. And it's known for it's known for rock and roll shows, right? But the thing about this place is that, well, to me anyway, and some of you buddies out there that are really into the rock and roll can probably explain this a little better than I have. But to me, it seems like it's famous for its underground shows, like rare, like superstar rock bands make quote unquote surprise appearances here, or they have weird venues here, because it's not like it's not a main stop. I guess if it's almost like a CBGB's in the desert, maybe, but a Casbah in the desert, something like that, where it's not a huge place. I think you can open it up and have a larger concert, but it's not meant to be certainly not meant to be some sort of big amphitheater or auditorium sort of place, and certainly not Red Rocks or anything like that. It's like, it's, I wouldn't say a cowboy bar sort of thing, but sure, it's like a cowboy bar out in the high desert there in Joshua Tree, or somewhere out there. It's up in I think it's a little like it's called Pioneer Town, I believe. But there's, it's an awesome place. That's all I have to say. If you love music, you love the rock and rolls, and sometimes I think you never know who's going to show up, and it's at Pappy and Harriet's out there. Point is that the Paper Planes had a show out there with the Henry Clay people. Yeah, the Henry Clay people played up there. And, man, that was a great show. Dude, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I ended up helping, I ended up helping them load their gear under their, van. I don't know, they seemed like they needed help or something like that. Anyway, I just remember them for whatever reason being super, super duper grateful. They gave me a couple stickers and a couple of CDs and like, dude, thanks so much. And I'm like, oh man, these guys are nice. They had an awesome set. They ended up playing, Bruce Springsteen cover, which was, fucking pretty badass, Born to Run. And they fucking killed it. But again, their whole set was fucking pretty cool. So they played along with the Paper Planes that night. And the Henry Clay people had to go back to, I don't know, I think they're from L.A. I am not 100% positive, but they had to go back to where they were from. So they didn't get to hang out with us, much to my chagrin. But the Paper Planes, I don't remember, there might have been another band there or not, but whoever it is, everyone who was there, we ended up spending the night at the Pappy and Harriet's. Off to the side, they have like, rooms, well, not rooms, like little houses you can rent that are like old frontier type houses sort of thing. So we ended up staying the night there, and this cat, he was a photographer. And he happened to show up, and I think he was a Henry Clay people fan. I'm not 100% sure. Or maybe he was a Paper Planes fan. It didn't seem like. No, I think he just followed the Henry Clay people there or something like that. I am not positive. But this cat, he had quit his job and was running around the country in a minivan. And he was a photographer, and that's all he was doing, was going around the country. And I said, are you doing it like Robert Frank? And he's like, yeah. So he was just going around the country photographing and doing his thing for a year or something like that. I don't know. He had been at it for a while by the time he was at Pappy and Harriet's. And he gave me his card, and I thought about that cat. And I'm like, fuck, I wish I could, at that time I did look up his website. It was, pretty cool. I did get some great photographs, but fuck, and I kept his card, and his card is somewhere, and in the move, I put the cards in a big old stack. I, collect business cards and shit, but I need to find out where there's at, and I hope to maybe give you guys an update onto what his website is. Hopefully it's still going on. And I hope that maybe he's even got like an Instagram or something like that. But I thought about that guy, and I'm like, man, I sure hope he's still at it, or I hope he ended up getting a good body of work out of that, and good for him. And, I'm just thinking, oh, yeah, I should do something like that, this, that, and the other. But, unfortunately, I don't have the physical means to do it at the moment, or the financial means either. But, yeah, I mean, and I've kind of talked about this before. I've had certain projects where I want to go across America. But even at this point, it seems like everything is just so fucking crazy right now. I mean, in some states, you can't even go into some states. There's, the other thing that triggered, I guess, my idea. Ooh, that was a big one. Big firework. I don't know if you guys heard that one. But there's the other thing that got me started thinking about these cross trips and American portraits and things like that is a cooking show on the YouTubes. There's this guy who married an Italian woman, and the cat lives in Maine with his wife, with her, Eva, and the cat's name is Harper, I believe. And the premise of the show is basically getting Eva to try American food and, our cartoon version of Italian American food, and her making faces and going, oh my God, is this what you call pizza? Is this what you call pasta? And then she shows you how to make the real Italian version of it. My favorite version was the carbonara version of it, where she basically says that Gordon Ramsay doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, sort of thing. Anyway, the channel there, they took a road trip across America as well. They started off in Los Angeles, California, the city of angels, and they went across country through the Southwest and into the South, and then took a left turn at Albuquerque. No, they did. They went past Albuquerque. Actually, they didn't get that north up in New Mexico, but they went. At least I don't think they did. They didn't show that on their little video blogs or whatever. But they go through the South: Arkansas, Memphis, Nashville, and then they make a left somewhere in the Carolinas and go up to Philadelphia to try the cheap Philly cheesesteaks. And they stop by New York and have a New York style pizza, which he again is not very impressed with. And on their way up to Maine, where they're from, and it's during they did it during the coronavirus season. It's very recent. It's not right now. I think some states at this point are shut down, so you can't. I believe, and I could be wrong. There are some states where you got to get quarantined. It's like crossing the border. You got to get quarantined for 14 days before you can actually go into the state or something like that. I could be wrong, but I think there's some states that have shut their borders off to other states. Like if you're coming from California, Arizona, Florida, or Texas, you got to sit in a room or something like that for 14 days or whatever before you can cross into theirs, which is, it's fair. I think it's fair the way things are going. I mean, we do it to crossing the border to and from Mexico, right? So anyway, I just started to think that even if I wanted to do something like that, again, the way the states are handling the coronavirus at the moment, it would be a hell of a long trip, and it would be, as the kids call, the logistics just isn't there. It's going to be tough. And man, it's just one of these things that I hope gets cleared up soon, and that I hope, someone out there gets to do this project. And I'm thinking, well, who would be doing this project? Who would have the access of being able to infiltrate so many groups and allowed to photograph? Like you guys heard a few episodes before, and I think it would have to be a woman, in my opinion. I'm not, the way things are going, when we talked to Julie, and she was allowed to do projects inside clubs and memberships and areas that other normal people, let's just say, aren't really allowed to or have access to. But yeah, it might have to be, a woman being allowed to. Then I'm not saying that it has to be in that sense, but I think that most groups that are, let's just say, polarized, both on the left and the right sides, might not grant access to just anyone. But I don't know. Somebody needs to do this project, and somebody needs to show America itself in the mirror to see if it'll change a lot quicker than it's been doing right now. And this is where things like photography and art are very important. That's what we do. I mean, there is art is just a mirror that you put up to somebody to make them see and make them look at themselves or look at something and provoke change. At the very least, that's what it's supposed to do, right? Anyway, I'm going to go have some hot dogs here in chili dogs. I'm going to cook them and enjoy. Probably turn on the screen, or I don't know. Somebody's got to have some sort of fake fireworks going on, and I'll watch fireworks on TV for a second, I guess. All right, I rambled on enough for this one. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hope you guys have a great summer, Independence Day, and I will hopefully talk to you soon. Stay clean, stay healthy, and enjoy your youth.